Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. It has been a while since we've been on the airwaves, right, Tomek? It's been a few weeks, but
Yep.
yeah. So if you have joined us for office hours, it's been a while. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Today's format will be a little bit different from our office hours format, where we answer questions and kind of go through the latest. Today is going to be more of a focused topic that Tomek is going to walk us through. So super excited for that. I'm actually going to be popping off the screen here in a minute. So, but I will be joining and kind of joining back for the Q&A section. If you have any questions, throw them in the side chat here. And yeah, super excited to have everyone join us today. Okay, and with that, Tomek, would you like to share your screen?
Yes. Welcome everyone again. So while I share my screen, I can start also talking. Can you hear me all right, everyone? I hope you do. If not, please complain. All right. So thank you. First of all, let's set the stage for today's event. So the goal is to build an app from the very start to something that is usable by hopefully some multum of users that like your idea. And I want to use this as an opportunity to show you different parts of Bolt interface, of Bolt UI. So this is very much this kind of, okay, if you haven't used Bolt before, or maybe you have, but you're not sure if you're using Bolt to its fullest potential, that's kind of what we want to solve here. In the future, we are actually planning on making further more specific topics around Bolt. So we will have, especially when we release something big like Supabase functions. I know a lot of people are interested in that. We are actually wrapping this up on the engineering side. So once this is released, we will have a dedicated live stream workshop like this that will focus specifically on this issue. But let us know also which topics you'd like to cover, things like a specific session on debugging and things like that. That being said, let's do it. So the idea for today is I'm watching a lot of TV shows. TV shows these days are awesome, and I want a way to track them and to have a library of these things. So we'll build an app like this. Yeah, let's start. Let's build an app that will allow me to track TV shows. Actually, let me just copy a part of this prompt so I don't make too much typos. But basically, I want to have a shows library and ability to find new shows, so I don't have to enter them by hand, find nice cover images and things like that. And for that, for searching the shows, we'll use tvmaze API. So tvmaze API is a very nice API available for everyone. If you want to try working with external APIs, it's a great idea to start. You can find the documentation of the API on their site. The tvmaze is its own service as well. You can do some stuff there. But it's also, this API has been on the market quite a lot, so LLMs are quite aware of the structure of the endpoints and the responses. But I want to also talk a little bit about how to work with the APIs that are maybe new that Bolt doesn't know about. But for now, let's start from here. So as you can see, there is you might expect like the first output, if we have worked with Bolt for a while, it's like it wants to do like a beautiful app, things like that. What is specific is that it's dark themed. As you can see, my OS, my Mac is dark themed, and my browser is very dark. I prefer this. It's winter here, so there's not too much light. So this is something that I found. I was asking Bolt every time. Basically, every time I built, I prompted the first prompt, it would build me an app, and then I would be like, it would be like a white themed app that would be painful to the eyes. So as you can see, this doesn't happen here. And this is because of one thing that we've launched very recently, and you can find it in settings. If you go to the knowledge, you can see the global system prompt and the project system prompt. So project system prompt is basically what is being used as the baseline for this specific project. This is being populated automatically once the project is created. But the global system prompt, as the name suggests, it's available for all the projects. So as you can see, I have only one short sentence here, and that helps me make the project that I mean to make from the start, and also save some tokens because it's already dark. I don't have to add second prompt. But you can also modify this prompt. So this will be a part of the instruction for the Bolt that will be always added. So things like might be useful to do like a color that is specific to the project, and instruct Bolt to always use this color in this project, or specific fonts, or even specific icons that you like. So that's the knowledge in settings. And now we have a show tracker. Okay, let's see. We even have 2 pages already. I wanted to prompt about that. But okay, let's see if the search works. Let's look for house. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's awesome. So first of all, we have even like a nice UI for each specific show. But if you are using different API, maybe something very new or something for that was updated recently, Bolt might not know about it and may not be able to display even anything. So like you're writing something here and like there's nothing. So in that case, this might be scary, but it's worth knowing this one piece that is called developer tools. And you can find it in the browser here, or by pressing F12. And there are a lot of things here, but one place that is very useful if you're working with third-party APIs is the network pane. So in our case, we didn't have any issue, but if you had an issue, you could, and Bolt doesn't show any error, you could start another search. This is important. It only records the new requests after you search. So let's search for and you can see there are a bunch of requests. Most of them are for covers, for images, but the important part is this one, right? So you can see that we're asking for GOTOM to the API. And what I would do in that case, if Bolt didn't know how the response looks like, I would just go to response, copy this response, or even like the part of it. Maybe sometimes the whole response is a lot. You can copy just the part of it and post it to Bolt. So basically, the typical response looks like this, and I just paste it here. But in this case, we didn't have any issue. Still, one additional tip, extra tip, is that Chrome these days has some AI capabilities on its own. So even if you are not sure even how to work with these responses, as long as you get to this point, so again, like developer tools, network pane, and make a request, make the request to API. And when you have this answer here, there is now this little button, and you can ask the internal AI that is built into Chrome for stuff about this response. Sometimes there might be a weird error status, and you can ask about it. So this is cool, and it doesn't take any tokens. So additional AI help. All right. Now that we have this, let's say that I wanted to change something really simple. I actually like this name, but let's call it, let's rename the app to TVTracker. It's shorter, right? And let's see how Bolt works. As you can see, it goes to different relevant files and recreates all the content. So that takes a lot of time and actually a lot of tokens. So we'll go back to settings again and flip one new feature on. So this is it's called divs, and it's technically a feature preview. We're still experimenting on it, but personally I've been using divs mode all the time, every time by default. I never switch back, so I would highly recommend you try using this. After you turn it on, you have to reload. The page will reload automatically, because in divs mode, Bolt is smarter about which parts of the app to update. So now let's try to change the title again. Change the title to TVTracker. I'll just add a space, or maybe this. And let's see. So as you can see, that was like instant. And now, especially this long app TSX, nothing is being recreated from scratch. There is some change somewhere here, but yeah, it's already there. So div mode definitely worth turning on. Okay, so now we have like this grid of shows. Let's try them again. And I want to see how they look on different screens. So I could decrease or increase like the whole UI in the browser, but we have two separate modes for that also. So one is called the responsive mode. So when you turn it on, you get these handlers here, and you can drag them around to see like how small your app can get. Additionally, you can open it in full screen. So you're still in Bold UI. You can see this like refresh button that is from Bold and these other buttons, but you can see the whole page. Right. Okay, let's turn it back. Additionally, you can also open this preview in a separate tab, which is really cool and powerful feature. We need to press this to connect. And now, yeah, and now it's just a separate tab. There is no UI from Bolt. You can see exactly what this will look like when deployed. We'll go back to that in a second when we'll add more features to the app. All right, so now that I have the basically searching functionality, I actually want to, one thing actually, these images are kind of blurry. So is it possible to use a higher quality images? Let's try that. And next thing, after, if that works or if it doesn't, never mind. We will add. We will want to store these favorites. Oh, nice. Yeah, it actually. Yeah, way better quality. So sometimes all you need is ask. So now when I click the favorite icon, it's yeah, it is in my library. Let's favorite something further down. Yeah, but and actually when I even refresh it, it's still there. But this is being stored locally in the browser. And if you open it on a different browser, it won't show. What is, 1 second. What might be even more confusing is that when you open it on a different, in that separate tab, this also won't show. So just be mindful, it's not that it's broken suddenly, it's that the storage in browser is based on the URL here. So there's a separate URL for this preview that is different than what is being displayed here, right? But if we have something like Superman, so now we have like 2 different instances of that storage. Yeah, so one more reason not to store that in the browser, but actually store this data in the Supabase, right? So I want to store the favorite shows in Supabase. Oh, I just noticed this might be, yeah, let's zoom in as much as possible. By the way, I will also share all the prompts that I made either here or preparing for this live stream. I've made a little bookmark that does it automatically. So when I copy prompts, you can see like all the things are here. So I have actually a copy of my previous prompt, so we can share it with you on Twitter later on. Okay, so in the meantime, Bolt created a so-called migration, and migration is basically a description for the database, how to change the tables, create the tables, and so on. It also created some logic for the Supabase and stuff like that. And now we actually need to connect to Supabase. So as this message implies, we'll click here. And this will also take a moment. So what else we can do in the meantime? Okay, so as this works on the Supabase is being created. One thing that you'd probably want to do is to change this title here. This is only internally for Bolt for the list of titles here in the sidebar. And oftentimes it's not like the most representative or easy to find then. So if you want to change it, you just click here and how did we call it? TVTracker. Yeah, we have our first error today. Okay, so two things happens at once. So let's first figure out what's going on with the database. So we have a migration prepared for Supabase. And what is cool is that Bolt explains what's happening with this migration. So normally you would have to, normally as a developer, you'd have to go to that migration file and read all that code, which is not like terrible, but it's not super user friendly. So we have now explanation what is specifically happening. And yes, I want to apply these changes, and we'll fix this now. Okay, so now Bolt figured out that there is something wrong with the syntax. This is also a fresh update, I think, from the last week. Before you'd have to copy paste it into prompt. This sometimes still happens, but we already catch a lot of these cases. Maybe not all of them. As this is being fixed, oh, maybe it's already fixed. Not yet. Oh, the terror. Okay, in the meantime, I'll go to Supabase and see if the table is created. So we go to table editor and we should see, yes, the favorites table with no data yet. Okay, in the meantime, looks like Bolt, yeah, maybe wanted to work in peace. So switching the tab might have helped. Anyways, so this works. Sign in. Did it implement sign in actually? Yeah, I think we need to ask it for it. So it probably, yeah. So request. Let's make sure to add user accounts. All right, see, so looks like Bolt already did some work because it made sense that these UI elements might have like appear on the screen, but only now we've added the model and user menu. And yes, again, this syntax error happened. All right. So let's try to sign in. And yes, tutorial. Oh, we should probably sign up first. every time I fall for this. Okay. Okay, we've signed in, and look for the shows. Superman. I favorite this, and let's see that if it, yes, and it just popped in here in the Supabase. By the way, what might be interesting, maybe not, but it didn't create like a specific separate field for every piece of information about the show. Supabase has this interesting, this useful field that is of type JSON, and you can store the full object with all the informations about specific thing that you have there. Invalid login credentials. I'm not sure if that is still happening. Okay, I think we're good for now. Okay, so we have a very basic functionality. I would probably add more details later on, but we have logging in, we have searching using some API, we have storage in database, and probably now I'd like to deploy it to maybe show this to my client, to my colleague, to play along, get some initial feedback. But before we do that, I want to polish it a little bit more. So if I open it in a separate tab, one thing that you might notice is oftentimes this title here is less customized, and it tells something like Vite plus React plus something template, and you'd probably want to change that. In that case, you can do it manually in code. Here in index.html, you can just change this title. Actually, let me try that. You can see this automatically updated, which is pretty cool, actually, how fast this happens. You can also ask Bolt about it if you don't want to mess around with code. It's easier sometimes to stay in that prompt area. With the diff mode on, it doesn't take that many credits, as you can see, tokens, sorry. This file is usually not that big as well, so even with diff mode off, that would be just a few tokens. But the other thing that I don't like here is that we have this, like, we basically don't have any favicon, so it's nice to have these like specific images that represents our app, or helps you find it if you have 30 tabs open. So I will add a favicon. For this, I use one of my favorite sites called Iconify. That lists basically millions of icons, and we will just use one of those icons as favicon. Let's look for a movie. I like this one. So when you choose an icon, you can also find specific icon sets. So if you want to work with material design, for example, you can find it. You can filter it before, but once you find an icon, you can get it in different formats based on what you want, but SVG is a good universal format. So I will actually download it. And now so this is now locally on my drive, and I want to add it to Bolt. Let's actually rename it to favicon, and go to Bolt. Do a little bit of window shuffling. Okay, so now one maybe not most intuitive thing to know is that if you drag it here, you can ask about this file, this asset. You can use it to, for example, drag some screenshots of apps or some ideas that you even made a photo of, and ask Bolt to recreate that design or things like that. But if you want to actually put the file from your file system into Bolt apps file system, you have to go to the code pane and drop it somewhere here. So if you have specific folder in mind, you can do it there. If you don't, for example, I never remember where favicon should be stored, so it's like available to this setup, for example. So I usually put it just directly in the main folder, and then ask Bolt to put it in the right place. So let's do it. A file favicon svg to the root folder. Place it in the correct folder and use it as the favicon. Yeah, so let Bolt figure it out. As you can see, it runs some command to create a folder and then move the file into that folder. And this is why we need a separate tab, because in this preview, you won't see the actual favicon. If I reconnect to the project, now you can see the icon appeared here. Actually, let's use this icon also as the logo here in the header. And after that, I think we can deploy. So two things to check. So it looks pretty solid is always this title and have some nicer favicon. And yeah, this is also nice for the logo. Now we can deploy. So to be honest, I often just write deploy. You can also just hit here. This makes no difference. Now Bolt is running the build, and then the results of that build is being transferred to Netlify. At this point, sometimes if you have an error, if this doesn't work, it's worth to go to code and Bolt output, and you will see some errors there. So then you can either put it back, those errors back into Bolt or somewhere else, and figure out what might be the reason. But yeah, usually with typical components, libraries, and things like that, that shouldn't happen. Okay, so let's see. Looks like the app is deployed, and yeah, well, sure enough, we have the this looks exactly like here, except a nicer URL. You will also notice that even if I log in here, what's my password? I forgot my password. Apparently. Okay, even if I log in here, I'm not logged in the deployed app, and that's again because it's like totally different app. Really, it's deployed in two different or it's rendered in two different places, two different URLs. So the information that you are being logged is securely stored for a specific URL. So I have to log in again. Yes, okay. And yeah, I like what's going on here, except one change. I'd like each page to have a separate path here, separate URL. So let's see if we can add it. Yeah, Supabase request. That's probably the authentication when I tried to log in and I wasn't able to. Supabase returns an error, so we can just dismiss it. I want search page to be under the search path in the URL. Yeah, so that's the tricky thing about the AI live streams. You can never prepare to it. It's almost like having, I don't know, like a dog that can do a trick in a house, but if you go with them to I don't know, to a park, they are like, you can never rely on them doing exactly the same thing. So when I did it before, we had the URLs, the paths already automatically created, but now we had to ask for it. But I think we're good. We won't be able to check it here because we don't show the path here, but if I open it in a separate tab, yes, as you can see, we have the paths that are changing now. So that's great. And so let's deploy it again, because I do have to actually show one thing that stumbles quite a lot of people. And now that it's deployed, yes, you can see we have these different paths. If I refresh the page, I'm getting this page not found. So if you Google for it, if you look for this a little bit, because Netlify is a popular platform, it's a popular issue, you will see a solution. But let's do it here from within a bolt. I will actually describe just describe what I'm seeing really. So I'm getting a page not found on sub paths, let's say, after deploying to Netlify. Can you create redirects So basically, by redirects, I mean, I hope the Bolt knows what I mean, but I want this Netlify project to always redirect every page to some fallback. That happens when you have more like a front-end apps that has this kind of this routing just changes in the front end itself. So this doesn't really exist on Netlify as a resource. So that's why we have 404. The site is being deployed. Let's see if it is. Yeah, actually it has deployed. So as you can see, that helped. And now if I refresh the page, before we had an error, now we're good. So don't forget about the redirects. Cool. Okay. I'll take a short breath now, because I've been speedrunning this thing. What next? So one thing, if you want to make a fork in the road and try something long term with this project, or maybe you want to make sure you don't accidentally, I don't know, do something to it, and you want to be like super sure. When I reach like a bigger milestone with my project, I sometimes do a copy of it. And right now, how you can do it is by opening it in StackBlitz. So StackBlitz, you can think of as a like underlying logic behind these projects, and you can fork it here, and then open Bolt. We might have to save it, and then open back in Bolt. So this is like kind of a pro tip, additional security, let's say. As you can see, we have now this as forked. So we have two projects that are basically the same. And now I can do like some crazy experiments with this with having always this as my backup. Additionally, what is cool is that you can, from this export, you can download the project. So you're not vendor locked into using Bolt forever for this project. All right. So I think last thing that I want to do now to have I deployed this app. I made it. I enabled it for users to sign in, and in the database, I will be able to actually see the signed in users. As you can see, we have both Tomeks here. So that's some information about how this is being used, but yeah, that's everything really. So what I would like to do, if I'm really putting it out there, is to see how and how often people are using it. So for that, I want to have analytics. So let's add them. So Google Analytics is the most popular option. The biggest downside is that it's so complex. I always forget. If I'm not using Google Analytics for a month, I never remember where to do stuff. But I try to prepare myself this time, so I will add another property. The property is an app or a website or things like that. So this will be, the property name is TVTracker live stream app. And let's leave the defaults. Industry, business size. Okay, and the platform is web, of course. So now I need to put in my URL. So this will be the deployment URL. Site. And we can create this. Okay, yeah, and now we got redirected to a setup code. So this is something that you'd have to paste into a specific place in the code base. But we will, of course, just copy it and add it to Bolt and ask Bolt to do it. So let's add Google Analytics. Here's the code. To be honest, the only thing that Bolt really needs is this piece, but it's easier to copy all like this whole thing. If I now test my installation, which makes Google Analytics look at this website and see if this tracking code is properly added, you can see that, yeah, we don't have, yeah, it doesn't work. But that's because Bolt is, Bolt make a mistake. But yeah, let's see. Okay, and it already knows that this change it makes sense to deploy this change. Okay, some React errors. So it looks like it is actually a bit trickier to add Google Analytics to a React app. Yeah, but in the end, it worked. Okay, so instead of even trying here, let's just retest. And yeah, as you can see, Google itself claims that this is now correctly installed. And if we now go to the actual analytics page, we will now see that this is now collecting the data. So it will take now some time. But that's it. That's how how you can add Google Analytics to your app. And last thing, you can, of course, I won't do it here, but you can, once you have your app in Netlify, you can really easily add a domain to it. We should probably have done it before adding Google Analytics, but just to show you 90% of the of the way there, we go to domain management, add a domain. In this case, we would buy a new domain and call it TV thing, not TVTracker, live stream. And I will add FYI because I know it's their cheap domain. So yeah, so basically, once you have it, then you can just, because it's already on Netlify, you just in the domain management use that domain for this app, and that's how it works. Yeah, so I think that's the whole path. Everything I wanted to show. We have a couple of minutes left, thankfully. So curious if there are any questions.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. It looks like we do have some questions here. Okay, a couple of you did kind of cover. Okay, these. So, what is it possible to build an app based on a Figma design?
Currently, not exactly. What I've been doing oftentimes is screenshotting that design, and then so it's far from pixel perfect, to be honest. But this is something that we are actively wrapping up, actually. So we are planning a native integration soon.
Sweet. Let's see. Oh, okay. What do you do when Bolt starts overriding features that were already working?
Oh yeah, that's the great question, and one thing that I think probably the only piece of Bolt UI that I haven't shown. Often, like times, usually Bolt on its own will create separate features, almost like a specific components. Usually, it's a React app, so these are like React components, and you can, looking at the code base here, you will see these different features, really, right? So show card is basically, in this case, you can imagine like this card with a show data. If you want to make sure that this card, like this is perfect, I want to make sure that if I'm adding like different design experiments or things like that, that this card remains unchanged. You can right click it and lock this file. So you will get this lock icon with this information additional here, so you don't forget about it. But the Bolt won't forget that this file is basically off limits. It doesn't mean that this file is not being used in the like context of the that UI AI is using to create new features. It doesn't mean that, for example, it doesn't know that this file even exists. It just means that this file is basically pretty much read only. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can also at specific point, if this structure, default structure doesn't represent what you are expecting from the feature, you can like ask Bolt to extract these elements, this feature, to a specific folder, and then lock this whole folder. So it would create a folder, for example, authentication, and you would just lock this whole folder.
Awesome. Okay, we got like so many questions in the chat just then.
Okay, let's speak on.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay, Stripe. Maybe an update here. When are you guys going to implement Stripe? I saw a couple of other questions about payment plans as well.
So at this point, it's really almost like the engineering estimation almost. So it's once we wrap up our engineering work, because this is something that we are one of the like 4 big things that we are currently working on. So this should come really soon. I think it's like the second one in that's going to land.
We will be doing a live stream next week where Paul is going to walk us through how he implemented Stripe. I will share the link for that in the chat here, but we will be having another live stream next week to talk about how to add Stripe to your apps. Let's see. Can we deploy to Vercel?
Not right now. So we currently try to optimize our roadmap to make specific use cases available. So, deployment, databases, authentication, payments, and things like that. So once we have like a big one covered, we focus on making sure, we have the widest range of functionality. Once this is done, we will be adding more native integrations like Netlify deployment, possibly to Vercel and other providers. But another thing, and that will be like the three of the big four, is the GitHub integration that we are again working on currently. Once this is done, it will be a little bit of manual work, but really nothing more bigger than like a minute of that. So we'll have a nice guide on how to use that to deploy to everywhere, basically. So
Yes, yeah. So Stripe and GitHub are on the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw this actually a couple times. We do have a Discord. There is a Discord for this community. I'm going to pop the link in here as well. A lot of folks are helping each other, which is great. Let me just share this link. That is the GitHub link. And let's see, there was a couple. There was some questions about, is this being recorded? I forgot to say in the beginning, yes, this will be recorded and it will be available for viewing on YouTube after the stream. So if you had to drop early, this is going to be recorded. Okay. This was I saw a few questions about what's the best way to add images to your site.
So the 2 points of possible failure. First, make sure to drag and drop it onto the file tree. So if you go to the code section, so switch from preview to code, and then you have all the files and directories. So copy the file drag the file in there, not in the prompt. The second possible issue might be if it's in the wrong place, actually. So what I like to do is, and you can rewatch it, that section, but tell Bolt about this. I've just dragged these images, for example, into the root folder, place it somewhere so they're available to the app or something like this, and then Bolt will put it in the right place.
Yes. Okay, it looks like, we're using a Teams plan, but every time different people from the Teams publishes, we end up with a different URL. Why is that?
If you could could you ask this actually, if you're on Twitter, could you comment that under the live stream tweet, or even directly to bold.new account? We'll find the answer. I'm not sure, but that should be answerable.
Awesome. Let's see. What is a good way to discover APIs to use in your app?
So there are a couple of like these APIs. The API collection pages. I often use Perplexity, for example, and just ask it about like the specific thing. One thing that I found when I was preparing to this, and initially I wanted to go with a different app, is called API-ninjas.com, API-ninjas. And there's like a bunch of APIs there. It has a paid plan, but also pretty generous free tier. So if you want to like start doing, I think it's like 10,000 requests are free per month.
Nice. Ninjas. I like it. Okay, cool. And then I saw a question. I'm trying to find it now about the referral program. And for some reason, I can't find the question now. Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. So today we did announce our referral program. So you're able to now share or generate a unique link, share it with friends, and then you get tokens for sharing with friends. I'm going to link to the announcement tweet here, as well as the live stream for next week. Let's see here. And then next week's live stream that you can check out. Amazing. Okay, unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And yeah, if you have any more questions, we are bolt.new on Twitter. And you can also find us on Blue Sky, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.